Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our program. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle, and today we're privileged to have with us Bob Burg. And Bob is the co-author and international bestseller of the GoGiver, which has really become a movement and a cause and a mindset these days. And he's a speaker and a sales leader. And I am so privileged to bring you today, Bob Burg. And Bob, welcome to the program.
Hey, Mike, thanks. Great to be with you.
Hey, so like I said, I've followed your work for years. I've read and reread and reread your book and the GoGiver Sell More. All of that whole movement, and I do feel like it really is a mindset and a movement. So bring us up to speed for people not as familiar with the book. What's the premise of the book,
Sure.
And how can that kind of recalibrate our thinking on how we do business?
Yeah, absolutely. And you really talk about it a lot in your new book, Authority Selling. And by the way, congratulations. What a fantastic book.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's going to touch a lot of lives. Really, the basic premise of the GoGiver, and it's a parable. It's a business parable co-authored with John David Mann, who's a fantastic storyteller. The premise itself, Mike, is simply that shifting one's focus, and this is really the key, shifting one's focus from getting to giving. Now, when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing value to others, and understanding that doing so is not just a nice way to live life and conduct business, it's also a very financially profitable way as well.
And what I would wonder is when we say the word giving, I think that, if you polled 10 or 20 people, they would think the word giving means, giving something tangible, giving money, giving time. So what is the prevalent way that people think of giving, and what was your intention of, giving yourself in what respect?
Well, it's such a great question, because really it's giving value to others. And what is value, first of all? Because that's another buzzword, right? When you think about it, we all talk about value. Now, different from price, which is something finite. Price is it's finite. It is what it is. Value is the relative worth or desirability of a thing, of something, to the end user or beholder. In other words, what is it about this thing, this product, service, concept, idea, advice, information, what have you, that someone holds to be of such worth, of such value, that they will be willing to, in the business sense, exchange their money for this value and feel great about it, while you, as the salesperson or entrepreneur, makes a very healthy profit. What we need to remember always is that value is always in the eyes of the beholder. It's not about us. It's not about what we think is of value or what we think they should think is of value. It's always about them. One of the things you say in your book, which I just really loved, is the key to building relationships is to focus on your customers' needs. You must listen to them, understand their problems, their desires. Only then can you offer products and services to them with the best chance of a positive buying decision. My great friend Jeff Shore, who's just a fantastic sales practitioner and now author and speaker, he says salespeople all over the world are consumed with providing the solution without first knowing the problem.
And it's kind of like you've got two ears and one mouth, and you tend to act like we've got four mouths and no ears.
Right, exactly. And that's why, selling itself, when we speak of selling, and so many people have a misperception about what selling is. They think that even entrepreneurs a lot of times, because remember, when someone's an entrepreneur, half the time they're really a practitioner that wants to be in business. And so they would rather not have to sell. They would rather just have their idea and have people, and it's just not the way the world normally works. And so people think of selling sometimes as something you do to someone rather than something you do for someone. They in their own mind, probably unconsciously, look at selling as trying to convince someone to buy something they don't want or need, when of course that's not selling, that's being a thief. And of course that has nothing to do with what anyone on this call is about. I define selling as simply discovering what the other person needs, wants, and desires, and helping them to get it.
And I would agree with that 1,000%, and I would like to tie in now giving value to that definition, and I wonder if there is an element of value and going above and beyond, like almost like the unexpected or the surprise value or surprise aspect of value. Meaning, if people think, okay, here comes this person, I know they're trying to get me to buy something, do something, or whatever. Now all of a sudden, when their sales resistance is up, and then it starts coming down because now you're becoming an educator and an advocate for what their needs are, and you're asking questions, and they're like, this guy really is a little different. And do you feel like there's the delivery of value, and it becomes more substantive when it's unexpected because everyone else in the industry, all the other competitors that they've already talked to, have done it the same old traditional way, and here you come in so different and so caring, and that value seems to be delivered in such a more effective way.
Yeah, and of course, that's something you speak on, being the advocate for that person. And, I think there are two ways to look at this in terms of that surprise factor, because one thing is, just the excellent, my friend Joe Calloway, who's a business consultant and great author, he has a book, Become the best at what matters most. And what he says is, I don't care about a wow experience. What I want is for them to just do correctly what they're supposed to be doing in the first place. and what he says is that in itself is a wow experience. So I think that when we really provide what we are, when we come at it with excellence, that right there is so fantastic, because that, in a sense, is a surprise. Then we also have the surprise factor when we do something for someone that absolutely has not been done for them before, and most people don't think of, but we do, because our focus is so much on how we can provide that exceptional experience for them. I think it's a difference maker.
Yeah, and I think that many times in your book you're talking about giving and value, and that it does not have to be monetary. I think that sometimes the little things become extraordinary big things, just the little touches, and you think about, how could you do something just very small to help someone understand your process, once the sale is made or before the sale is made or whatever in your customer journey that you're doing. But I think if you can do the big things good, well, you ought to. But the little things, even if it's like that personal handwritten note or a personal quick phone call, even, you think of some of these situations, and recently we had one where one of our kids had to go to a urgent care. Well, those are just, that's not your primary care doctor, and those are just people giving urgent care. Well, a couple days later, they called back and said, hey, how is everything going? Well, that's a nice touch, and they weren't trying to sell anything. But I think that one question is there's a misperception that GoGiver is I've got to give, and man, that's depleting my resources, and it's hard economic times, and when do I kind of rack up some sales so that I can actually, quantify this GoGiver mindset?
Mike, that is one of the best questions, because I think people, especially when they see the title, the Go-Giver, they come to their own conclusion. As you know, people make decisions based on very limited information, and we do that based on our belief systems and the way we see the world and the other messages we've been given. So someone sees the Go-Giver. Well, what does that mean? That you don't make a profit? No, Go-Givers tend to make a very, very healthy profit, because they tend to be much more focused on, they sell on value rather than price. I mean, we know when you sell on low price, unless your last name is Walmart, they do a pretty good job of, but for most of us, if you sell on price, you're a commodity. When you sell on value, you're a resource. So Go-Givers tend to sell at the upper end of a fee structure. Some people think, well, if you're a Go-Giver, you can't say no to people. Well, of course you can. You have to, because typically when you operate as a Go-Giver, you're very successful, and you don't have a lot of extra time to do things. So you've got to be, and you'll get a lot of requests. You must say no, but you do so in a way that's polite, that's respectful, that honors the other person.
And if you've done the serving and giving mindset shift properly, when the time comes to say no, it's a natural outflowing that it's going to come off the right way and not just some, no way.
Exactly, and you're able to then say yes where you should say yes, and that's also very key.
Yeah, and it really does get down to almost, putting yourself in that other person's shoes and kind of thinking in a split second, what are they looking for, and how would they feel if I say this, are they going to wonder? And I think that it just comes down to just being a human to people and responding and, hey, I would love to do that, fill in the blank, but boy, my schedule is, and hey, let's table it for a little while, but circle back around in. And I think that when people can see, but hey, in the meantime, here's a link to a few of and here's what I would like to give you here. I just can't do this because it's, not in my schedule. And I think that mindset, it really is. And it's kind of like having a big old cruise ship. They're not as quickly to turn as a speedboat, but yet they're going to turn slowly but surely. So I think that mindset shift does take some time. Do you find that people that want to commit to the GoGiver mindset, some would feel like I can't continue on, I need to give up, or it is that constant encouragement of, we've got to just keep plugging away, and it'll pay off?
Well, here's the thing. Operating as a go-giver does not take more time to reach success than doing it the traditional way. It actually takes less time, and here's why. I've had people say, well, okay, Bob, I can see, in the selling process, I can see this go-giver stuff, focus on them. And I can see that once I've already got the money and I'm doing well and I don't need, but right now I've got to eat. I need the business.
Yeah.
So the premise there, Mike, is that selling the old school way, selling that way where you're focused on yourself, not on helping them, is going to actually get you sales quicker. But so I would say to the person, let's say that you are the prospect and I'm the salesperson and I'm about to do a presentation for you. And you can tell that my goal, I'm nice and everything, but you can tell my goal is a transfer of money from your pocket to mine.
Otherwise, why am I here?
Right. I'm asking questions, but really it's just to be able to sort of to kind of get to be able to close. Or you can tell that it's all about me. It's not real. Now, are you more likely or less likely to buy from me right now? And, most people would say, well, less likely, of course.
Right.
So then I'd say, all right, now let's take another situation. I'm in front of you about to do the presentation, and you can tell that my goal is providing value to you. I'm asking questions. I'm discovering your wants, your needs, your desires. I'm concerned about you. Only when I know exactly what it is you're looking for do I now match the benefits of my product or service with your needs, with your wants, with your desires. You can tell overall and absolutely that my focus is on you. Are you more likely or less likely to do business with me right now?
Yeah, of course, it's a whole different feel.
It's a whole different feel. And so I think, again, the big thing is when we say, when we look at the term go-giver, I want people, and I think they get this once they read the book, but obviously before they do, and they look at the term go-giver, they may not. But I say, don't in any way, please, associate the term go-giver with being a doormat or being a martyr or being self-sacrificial in any way, shape, or form. Absolutely not at all. You're going to have more success in life, you're going to have more success in business when your focus is on bringing value to others, and not for some magical reasons, but for obvious reasons, for real-world reasons. When you've moved from an I focus or a me focus to an other focus, looking for ways to provide exceptional value to them, they feel much better about you. They know you, they like you, they trust you. They're much more likely to want to do business with you and refer you to others.
And in that scenario that you mentioned, the two contrasts, would you feel that even opening up a conversation with, your sales prospect, because let's talk, about sales in that example, what if you were to say, hey, today we're just going to get to know each other, and I want to find out what you need and then match it up with what we provide. And if there seems to be a good fit, that's wonderful. We can move forward. And if there's not, I can even refer you to some people that I think would be a better need. But I just want you to realize we're just trying to figure out what some similarities and needs are, and no pressure. And I just want you to know that. What if something similar to that is the way you started off the conversation? They would go, okay, that's fine, but they're still guarded because they're like, yeah, whatever. But I think that would almost center your own self on, going, okay, I'm not going to be the what's it going to take to get you into this deal today.
Exactly. And sure, beginning the sales interview with that is a fantastic way. Now, if it's, if you're in the type of business where where a sale can be consummated after one interview, you don't need to say the thing about today is only, or that something, because it may be very legitimate depending upon what you do for it to be. But if it's any kind of substantial sale, it typically isn't a one call situation. There usually is the exploratory and then coming back with a solution. But again, it's different depending upon the context. But I love the idea, yes, exactly, that you go in there with the disclaimer, if you will, or what I like to call the out or back door. It's that emotional escape route that you give someone so they don't feel pressured, but just the opposite. Now, the paradox, of course, is that the bigger the out or back door you give someone to take, the less they feel the need to take it.
Isn't that just like the guarantee? You give a 1 week guarantee on a product after the sale, and you might make the sale, but then they're marking their calendar for 6 days down the road to cancel. Whereas if it's a lifetime guarantee, you might think, oh my word, I can't do a lifetime guarantee, but it even removes it off of that prospect's mind to go, all right, let me get this, let me get it used, and then now they're engaging with it because they don't feel that 7-day or 30-day pressure.
Right. Yeah, the easier you make it for someone to experience the benefits of what you're providing them, the better it is for them, and the more the chances are they are going to want to do business with you. And, I want to pick up on something you said earlier because it was a great point. Even when you give them that out or back door at the beginning, they still might be a bit skeptical only because of their past experiences with salespeople. But that's okay, because as you do this and as you go through the sales conversation and they pick up on your congruency, that those fears are going to melt. Yeah. So the more questions you ask, the more responsive you are. I always say that when you're selling, you're giving. What are you giving? You're giving time, attention, counsel, education, empathy, and most of all, value. And when you do that, that person's going to feel great about you.
And I think that one, line that you just said there really wraps up the GoGiver concept, because I think the misconception of, well, I got to give, half off on everything, or I've got to give this product. It really is that mindset, and then that's a wonderful way to give an example, like a case study of how that would feel and look in a sales situation. So I think that is spectacular. One of the principles in the book is influence. What would you say a good way for GoGiver to create influence? Because now this is taking it one notch or two notches past, sale, transaction with the mindset. Now the mindset is getting a little bit more into the 30,000-foot view, giving back to society causes, or, more than just the one-to-one relationship. So can you speak to a little bit about the, moving to a position of influence?
Well, I think influence is sort of all encompassing in a sense. If you look at the definition of influence on a very, very basic level, it's nothing more than the ability to move a person or persons to a desired action, usually within the context of a specific goal. But I think that definition is fine. I think it's a very legitimate definition, but I don't think it captures the essence of influence. I believe influence is pull as opposed to push. You very rarely hear someone say, wow, that David or that Nancy, she is so influential. She has a lot of push with people. She is so pushy. We just love, right? No, great influencers attract people. Yeah. They pull into their world. They attract people to themselves first, and only then to their idea. And they do that again through that sense of pull. I think great influencers understand at a very heart level, at a very core level, what I believe was the underlying, the foundational premise of Dale Carnegie's 1937 classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People, where he wrote, ultimately, people do things for their reasons, not our reasons. So the great influencer is constantly asking themselves questions such as, how does what I'm asking this person to do, how does it align with their goals, with their wants, their needs, their desires? How does what I want this other person to do align with their values? And when asking ourselves these questions intelligently, thoughtfully, genuinely, authentically, not as a way to manipulate another human being into doing our will, but as a way to help build everyone in the process, now we've come a lot closer to earning people's commitment to our ideas. And I think that's really the essence of influence.
And, I think it's, selling doesn't have to be a sales situation because we're all in a sales environment every single day. If you want to go to a certain restaurant with some friends and you wanted to go to Chinese rather than Mexican, I think you've got to sell them on your idea and many, many things like that. So I think if we can take that mindset of giving and serving and value in every scenario, that then sets that tone. But I wonder if influence then is kind of the cherry on the top, the culmination of, successfully implementing that GoGiver mindset successfully, because any salesperson can fake their way through that the scenario we talked about previously. But when you do it right with the right intentions or the right focus, now all of a sudden it is part of your ethos, and now all of a sudden influence just happens. I don't think you say, I want to do X, Y, and Z so I can have influence. I think it just becomes that person that you become.
Well, you bring up a great point, and when we speak about people skills, which is such an important aspect of success, we often say that success in business, success in life is 10% talent or technical skills and 90% people skills, which doesn't in any way diminish the importance of talent. Of course, that's very important, but these days that's just the baseline to get you into the game. People skills is really the big thing, but here's the essence of that, which I think is so important for people to keep in mind. The single greatest, you can learn all the skills, and there's lots of good books on it, and absolutely, but the single greatest people skill is a highly developed and authentic interest in the other person. And when you have that, when that is part of your essence, now you have influence.
Drop the mic. That's that right. That was it. I think that is just spectacular. That conclusion. So, what's the best way that people can get some more info on your books, like GoGiver and GoGiver Sell More, which is what we touched on there, and then we didn't even get to the GoGiver Leader, but all of those series. What's the best way that people can learn more and pick some of those books up?
Sure, they can find out more about those at my website, which is The GoGiver, without the hyphen in this case, thegogiver.com, and they can scroll down to that page and they can read an excerpt or chapter one of those books, and if they like it, like what they see thus far, they can then click through to Amazon.
Excellent. Well, Bob, thank you for your time. It's always a pleasure to hear from one of the greats and the thought leaders in our industry today. And it's with great pleasure I say just thank you for your thoughts and picked up some great nuggets of wisdom today.
Oh, thank you so much, Mike. Honor to be with you.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneursradio.com.